This week on The Wise Guys.
I've never heard of a guy robbing someone at gunpoint with a suit
That's true.
or with a button up and some slacks.
100%.
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that
I've
either.
never heard of them say you fit the description. The guy had on a blue suit with a bow tie.
He was in the nation.
He had glasses. He had a top hat on. And some people say, "Oh, you're living scared." I'm just living smart.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Kevin Anglade, and you are now tuning in to the Wise Guys podcast, brought to you by Flowered Concrete. Check it out. Yo, what's going on? This is your boy, Kevin Anglade.
And this is Mark Pruden.
And we're back, man, for another week of the Wise Guys podcast, man. Back in Brooklyn once again.
Yes, sir.
Man, Mark, man.
I like this spot, man.
Yeah, man, this is a nice chill spot, man. It's a nice chill vibe.
Absolutely.
New studio, new environment, new ambiance, new aura.
That's right.
Man, shout out to you for making me feel welcome here, man. Making me come back to my place of birth. I was actually born in Brooklyn.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's a blessing to have you here, man.
Yeah, man. I was actually born in Brooklyn, and I think my mom and dad, they moved us out to Queens somewhere within the 6 to 9 month period of me being a baby. They were like, we're not gonna have our son become a drug dealer.
Yeah.
You gotta be out of here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we're back.
Absolutely. It's great to be back, man. I'm feeling good. How about you?
I'm feeling good, Mark. This is episode 12, man.
12.
Parenthood.
Okay.
Episode 12, Parenthood. Shout out to Tazia. Tazia, sweetheart, I forget your last name, but shout out to you because you requested that we have an episode based on parenting and parenthood, and you DM'd this topic to us when we were first starting up the show. So I thought it would be nice to show her love to actually, give the fans what they want and kind of contribute to a topic that they'd like to hear.
That's right.
Yeah, man. Hey, this is 3 episodes in a row in which we're not only recording live in person because, I live in Hartford and you still live back here in New York, but also just great sound quality, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to have that crisp audio.
Yeah.
Everybody enjoys that. No
Yeah.
distractions. Everything's clear.
It's lovely.
It's beautiful, man.
Definitely, man. Kind of want to get right into it, man.
Yeah, let's
we got
do
a
it.
lot to talk about with this one. So as I said before, Mark, episode 12 is about parenthood, man. So the first segment is called The Laws of Parenting, all right? So the laws of parenting, a timeline, Black motherhood and fatherhood, all right? It's going to get pretty interesting here. So my first question is, does race, culture, and identity play a part in the raising of children? So does race, one's culture, and their personal identities play a part in the raising of children? What do you think?
I think so, for sure. The reason being is most parents are going to raise their child according to what they've learned in their life.
Yeah.
And let's say someone isn't exposed to, let's say something like finance or wealth building. How can they teach their kids that if they've never been exposed to it?
Absolutely.
So they'll naturally be deprived.
Right.
That can go for any topic, whether it's, just being nurturing or just a wide variety of things that you would teach a child if that parent doesn't have that.
Right.
They can't learn it because I'm sure with different races come different resources. We all know that our people have limited resources compared to white people or Jewish and stuff like that. So it's clear that with those resources, they will have the ability to teach their children how to use these resources.
Yeah, true.
We have to take it upon ourselves to find that information and learn it to give our children. But what if we don't receive that information?
Right.
Then that generation will be deprived.
It's excellent that you say that, man, because a lot of today's topics actually cover what you just talked about.
Right.
I'm gonna really get into the meat of this, man, and it's gonna be a bit I don't want to say touchy, but we're gonna be touching a few sensitive topics here. So I was reading a couple of articles as I was compiling research for this episode. And one thing that I noticed to be the recurring theme across a lot of these articles from like The Nation, The Root, the Atlanta Black Star Journal is that Black parenting is often based as a political act. I'll break that down to you. Black parenting often being based as a political act. So oftentimes in the black community, you usually have one parent, whether it's the mom or dad, who's usually the authoritative figure, very dominant, very stern, very strict, raises their child with the iron fist, right? And as an authoritative figure, they do their best to ensure that children are well behaved and know how to conduct themselves in public. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, like for example, you see Sally, Jimmy with Tammy and Ben at the farmer's market, and they're doing their own thing, and and they're like, "Mommy, Daddy, can I get this? Can I get that?" Blah blah blah. But then you see Tamia, with I hate to do this, but like Rayshawn or Tayshawn,
Right.
and he's like, "Wow, I want this, I want that," and he's like, doing like Cupid shuffles and all these different things inside the store, whatever, whatnot.
Right.
And so oftentimes, like even this week at work, I heard a parent who's also a coworker of mine says that she has to be on her son because she doesn't want to be embarrassed in public, especially when she's around parents of other races.
That's very true.
What do you think of that? So do you think that connects to this whole black parenting thing as a political act in terms of like, we talked about it even on episode 10 in terms of like, I didn't want to be perceived, as or labeled this way with my coworker because he was talking this way because me and the principal had another type of conversation. So I didn't want her perception of me to change. Do you think that parents of other races, when out in the public, or just, people of other cultures and races in general, do you think they perceive black children as being a certain type of way if they're not well behaved? Why do you think black parents, or parents of, color have to be this way?
Well, that's the thing. It's hard to say because there's children of many races that we see in public that may act out.
Right.
We see this often with many different types. So I can't say that the children are better behaved or even worse, but it can just be that our possibly our own insecurities. Maybe we don't want our children to make such a racket, so we're very attentive to that and we're very subconscious of that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that our children act up more than others. I think it's just that we see it as more of a problem, or we don't want that distraction. We don't want that attention. We just want to get our stuff and leave. So it may just be the way that we react to it or the way that we perceive it.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I definitely can see that for sure. Do you think that parents of color, do you think that they're, I don't want to say given a bad rap, but do you think that parenting for them is 10 times harder because of the media itself and how it sheds light on, children of color and things of that nature? Think about it. For example, when you see a bunch of brothers being led to a courthouse or out of a vehicle in shackles when their heads down and they're being sworn by the media because, I don't know, they robbed someplace or they were part of a burglary and whatnot. Do you think parents of color have this form of treading waters, like they're they want to like nip any form of misbehavior early on to ensure that isn't something that continues in the future?
Yeah, I think it's fear. Fear because they see the consequences. They see that maybe their neighborhood where they live is obvious that that's where you'll end up. Because a lot of the time, a lot of our people can't control where they live. Right. So they already understand that there's pressures on the kids based on where they live to be involved in negative things.
Absolutely.
And they try to do all they can to try to nip it in the bud as fast as possible. But we all know sometimes it just doesn't work. Yeah. Sometimes at the end of the day, if you live in an area that's very like, let's say it's gang infested, let's say it's a lot of criminal activity, and your mother works 2 jobs, she can't shield you from the hood because the hood's gonna raise you.
Yeah, it's true.
So I think it's that fear,
right?
So they try to do all they can to make sure that they create a well-behaved citizen or a well-respected young man or woman. Mm-hmm. It's just a fear because they know that they can't be there at all times.
Absolutely. So, and it's interesting you say all that, because I actually have here that Black parenting, right, as we said before, can these articles pretty much said that they can be perceived or understood to be a political act, also because of the fact that as opposed to white parents, Black parents have to have conversations with their children about race, discrimination, injustices, and if not, there will be repercussions as a form of failure to prepare for young adulthood, right? So Black parents raising their children, or Hispanic, Latino, Latina parents too, raising their children, often go through anxiety, and as you mentioned earlier, and act or parent out of fear because of police brutality, mass incarceration, and as well as verbal or physical altercations that may occur in the streets between a Black teenager and a white teenager or something of that sort, whatever, whatnot. And this really sucks, man, because I'm being honest with you. Like, wise community, I hate to make this a race thing. This is not about race. I'm just, with this first segment of today's episode, what I'm trying to do is understand how one parenting of another's race or culture differs from another, because I don't think parents that have a great background or basing in terms of socioeconomics even have conversations with their children about race or about equity or imbalance or injustice within the system, or have to have these conversations in general about what to do when the cops pull you over or anything like that.
Right, but I feel the job of a parent is to prepare your child for what they're going to encounter. I'm not going to prepare my child for something that he's not going to experience. Yeah. So in that case, other races may not have to prepare for certain things because it just won't happen. It's just you have to adequately prepare. I mean, you're not going to teach things that are irrelevant to their lives. It's like, no, son, you don't have to ever worry about that. Yeah. I don't have to teach you that. Yeah. So I can understand.
I'm curious. Growing up, did your dad have any conversations with you about racial discrimination, bias, or police brutality, or what to do if a cop ever pulled you over, or anything of the sort?
No, my dad doesn't fear anything. He's the type of guy where he feels as if, who you are as a person and how you represent yourself will determine your outcome. And it's true. It's true. Everyone wants to say things, and this is true. I mean, sure, these stereotypes and these biases shouldn't exist, but if I'm walking down the street and I'm sagging my pants and I have a hoodie over my head and a do-rag hanging out of my back pocket,
or a flag,
am I surprised when the cops pull me over? Yeah. No, sir, I'm not a criminal. I'm not a criminal officer, but you're dressed like one. You're wearing a criminal's uniform. I mean,
we talked about this the other day.
And I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to say that, it's okay to, what is the word?
Stereotype. Or to label.
That's wrong. We shouldn't label.
Right.
But if 10 people rob you wearing a hoodie, and you see an 11th dude with a hoodie, are you going to run or are you going to wait for him? That's just how it is. Yeah. I mean, and it sounds racist when someone of a race says it, but it's true. Yeah. I mean, stereotypes usually happen based on, the media or personal experience. Right. If I've been robbed by someone with a do-rag on, if I see a do-rag again, I'm going to be like, I don't know about you, man, because this happened to me before. Yeah. Or if I was robbed by a dude that said, yo, 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 the next guy that says, yo, 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 I'm going to be like, hey, man, I don't want any problems.
Right.
So it's natural, human, and I'm not justifying, stereotyping or just judging, but people will judge you based off of their experiences and the experiences of others. Yeah. Whether it's true or false. But so if I know that people are judging people that are wearing certain clothing, why would I wear that clothing if I know it's cause and effect? Yeah. You know what's going to happen. Why wear it? And people would say, that's living in a prison. You can really end up living in a prison. You fit the description of a guy that just robbed a bank. Right. What do you mean? Well, he was wearing a do-rag, a hoodie, and he was sagging his pants just like you. No, that's not me. Hands behind your back. And then what are you going to say?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard of a guy robbing someone at gunpoint with a suit.
That's true.
Or with a button up and some slacks.
100%.
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of them say you fit the description. The guy had on a blue suit with a bow tie.
He was in the nation.
He had glasses. He had a top hat on. And some people say, "Oh, you're living scared." I'm just living smart.
Absolutely. And we've had this conversation, which is why I appreciate my parents, because I feel as if they kind of gave me the understanding to fit the bill, to fit the description. You sent me that video the other day with 50 Cent in regards to fitting the description. Right. And I told you what it was. One time, I rolled up on one of my students in the grocery store, and I think I might have had on I'll be honest, I was looking ratchet as hell. I think I had on my PJs and like some flip flops and a t-shirt. And I was like, yo, what's up, blah, blah. And we're like, yo, who's this dude? You know what I'm saying? But another day, I think I was coming straight home from work after teaching after a long day. And I still had on my dress shirt, my casual, my nice shoes, my casually dressed pants, and as well as my tie and glasses. And I saw another one of my students, a Hispanic girl. And, her grandmother saw me and she's like, oh, is this your teacher? Mind you, two totally different reactions.
Yeah.
Like, wait, is this the guy from the North End? Like, from Hartford? Like, maybe from, like, Martin Street or something like that? Or, like, this guy's your teacher. What, 7th grade, 8th grade? It's, like, two different bills.
Society's extremely sensitive right now. And they make it as if it is wrong to judge.
Right.
When humans naturally judge. Mm-hmm. But what they're saying now is it's wrong to express your judgment. Keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Because we're all judging.
Mm-hmm.
All judging. I mean, and people like to call it, racist when other races judge us. Yeah. But we judge each other.
100%.
You have to judge people in your neighborhood to survive if you're in a bad neighborhood. I have to know, kind of gauge, okay, what's this guy looking like? What's he up to? So,
it's so funny you say that. Everybody judges. Yeah. I recently was doing some studying or reading on like racial discrimination or just like biases that we have. And I'm not going to lie to you, Mark, if I'm in my car and I'm in an unfamiliar territory and it kind of looks like a sketchy neighborhood and I see some kids coming up on either side of my windows with bikes, I'm going to lock my door. Yeah. And I've done it. I'm like, yo, these look like some kind of hood dudes. Lock my doors. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens. And then I say to myself, come on, Kev, you're black. They're black. Why would you do that? But then I said to myself, well, better safe than sorry.
Right. Yeah. And obviously the black thing means nothing. I mean, right. And there is no justification of any type of murder or any type of crime. Mm-hmm. But, in certain areas, black areas, and I'm a brother. Yeah. If I go out to certain areas and I see other brothers, they may rob me.
It's true.
If you walk down the wrong block, your brothers, quote unquote, may rob you.
100%.
So, do we start to stereotype? Do we start to judge? Do we start to prejudge based on that experience? Yeah. I mean, I've never been robbed, but I think I know what a robber looks like. Right. And I don't, if I'm right or wrong, I didn't get robbed today. I went down the other block.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It's interesting. Yeah. It's very, very interesting. Survival for sure. So my second question for you today, bro. Actually, this fits into our second segment of the day, parenting, the next steps. Segment 2, parenting, the next steps. So, more so moving away from the politicized version of parenting and raising children and bringing them up, and more so of like the casual, motivational, inspiring way of parenting. That's where I kind of want to take this. Yep. Are parents doing a great job? And I'm talking for all parents here. Mm-hmm. Are parents doing a great job, Mark, in today's day and age when it comes to setting up their children for success as they enter adulthood? I'll read the question again. Are parents, all types of parents, are parents doing a great job when it comes to setting up their children for success financially, emotionally, educationally as they enter adulthood? Are parents setting up their own children for success in today's day and age?
Well, they're all trying. But the truth is they can't. I mean, through mindset, you can set up a child. I believe you can set up a child to be prepared for the future. Mm-hmm. But how can someone adequately prepare me for a future that they've never seen?
Yeah.
Everything that they told me in school, you have to learn script. I haven't used script in a long time. I just know my name and that's about it. Don't need to use it. Mm-hmm. All of these things that they thought were so important. Every year, your mom would tell you, 3rd grade is the most important grade. You got to do good. Mm-hmm. Next year, 4th grade is the most important grade. You got to do good. Apparently, you don't know what's the most important grade.
It's true.
Maybe there's no important grade.
Right.
And it's just like, it's society's constantly evolving, constantly changing. I mean, years ago, there were certain jobs that were untouchable. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like, there's so many jobs that have been replaced, but like if we just look at the way drones have replaced the job of a cameraman.
Yeah.
All you need is a drone pilot to do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got self-driving taxi cabs on the market now. Mm-hmm. We've got so many different things. We've got truck drivers that are now totally, autonomous, that they drive themselves.
Danielle opposes that, and she says she's going to have a word with you about this, but that's for another day.
And it doesn't matter what she thinks, right? Because it's on the road already. Yeah. That's the thing. It's the fear that tells us, oh, no, that can't happen. Oh, yeah. The jobs can't go away. Well, I'm telling you, the jobs are going away. All of them.
Right.
They're all going away.
Yeah.
And the fear makes us think, no, there has to be untouchable jobs. No, there's no untouchable jobs.
Yeah.
Because first of all, we don't own the companies producing these things.
100%.
Now, if I can buy a machine that can do 10 times the work of a person and I don't have to pay it. Oh, and then it doesn't get tired. It doesn't need a vacation. Who are you to tell me I'm not getting this robot in my factory?
Right.
You're the one using my product. Mm-hmm. Maybe you would enjoy the cheaper product.
Yeah.
So yeah, the self-driving trucks are on the road right now. You can Google it. If you think it's a joke or some type of fad, get ready because it's going. It's gone. No, it's already gone.
Yeah.
I mean, once you see that, pack up.
Yeah. Mark wants all the smoke right now. It's interesting.
If I was a truck driver and I saw the self-driving truck, I would park my truck, I would get out and just walk home. I would leave. I would never come back. You've got to see the writing on the wall.
Right.
Sell the truck.
It's so funny you mentioned all of this with, the autonomous technology taking over and all these things becoming more prevalent and, on the verge of becoming a full staple and stabilized within our society.
Right.
Because our parents both can't and couldn't foresee that. And
that's what
all they're pushing us to do is to apply and go after these same jobs that they've been telling us to get for years.
In 2020, well, let's just say in 2030, if you think there's going to be a man in a seat driving a bus in circles, you're out of your mind. If you think there's a guy going to be, in 10 years, if you think there's going to be a guy in a train, on a track, conducting the train, you're out of your mind.
Right.
Come on, man. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And if you think you're still going to be holding a cell phone in 30 years, you're really out of your mind.
So Mark, why are our parents telling us to become lawyers, become doctors, become EMTs, become engineers, become computer scientists? My dad wanted me to be a computer engineer, and he wanted Sammy to become a doctor. A lot of these professions that have been around for years and years and years, right? And it seems as if come some point in time, we won't need them in a couple of years,
right?
Even
because it's their best guess for you to make money. I know a doctor. I know they make a lot of money. If my son can be a doctor, man, I made it. Or man, he'd be set. He'd be set if he grew up in your generation. Mm-hmm. He'd be set if he was raised in your. Basically, you're saying you should have been a doctor,
right?
And now you're like, okay, if I tell my son to do it, he'll definitely be great.
Right.
He'll be wealthy. He'll have money.
Yeah.
So what I think will be the road to success right now may not be what will work for my children.
Absolutely.
It might work for me,
absolutely,
but not my children. So we have to learn that You just have to adapt. You can't keep saying doctor generation after generation after generation.
Mm-hmm. I know. Let's put it to you this way. My new job that I have now, working as a rehab therapist at a nonprofit juvenile facility, I think I'm the only male, whether under 30 or over 30 and 40, 50. I'm the only male with a master's degree. And I say that to say there's a couple of youth mentors under me who I will be supervising. You know, I'll be supervising to implement the programs that I'm doing, whatnot. They don't have a college degree, or they did some college and they dropped out, and all they have is like their high school diploma or their GEDs.
Right.
But then it kind of worries me as to why their thinking may connect to that of my parents, because they said that you don't need education in terms of the conventional college route to be a success, because that's how they feel, and which I'm sure you would agree with. Mm-hmm. But then they want their kids to go to college. I don't get it.
Well, yeah, that means they don't practice. They don't believe what they preach. You know, they don't actually believe what they're saying.
I was like, well, how does that even make sense if you're saying you don't need college, but then you want your kids to become college? And they said they're like, yeah, we're being very hypocritical right now, but no, they have to go. I didn't go, but they need to go.
He's basically saying, if I went, I would be much more successful than I am. Mm-hmm. But since I didn't,
right,
I'm just gonna stick with this.
Right.
You know, I'm just going to, you know what I mean? Just try to feel as if I did it the right way.
Yeah.
But they're acknowledging that they apparently went the wrong route.
That's really, really interesting. Excellent. And so I have this final question for you, man. What are the next steps for parents moving forward as the world continues to change? What are the next steps for parents moving forward as the world continues to change? And how can they better themselves or add a certain value that best suits their children?
I think it's just going to come down to like mindset, you know, because you can't really predict the technological advancements that come up in the world. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You can only prepare your child to have an open mind so that he can enter these new fields. Like, a lot of people can't even accept that there's autonomous driving and that buses are going to drive themselves, trains are going to drive themselves.
Yep.
They don't have the open mind necessary to break into these fields.
Right.
And it's going to pass them by.
Yeah.
So it's just going to come down to mindset, having an open mind.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
That's hard to teach, but, you know, because we're so close-minded and we all focus on the same things. But
yeah,
I think that's the only way.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I'm going to say it right now, man. Well, I think we did, but shout out to Tazia. She wanted to make sure that we talked about it on today's episode.
For sure.
So, Tazia, I hope you enjoy this one. This one's for you. I hope you really, really get a lot out of this. Is there anything else we need to cover, man?
I think that's about everything. You know, we hit a lot of good points. For sure.
Yep. So let's close out with our final segment, Word to the Wise. I'll let you go first. What's your word to the wise today in regards to this topic of parenthood and parenting in general?
I mean, I just say, back to what I said previously, you know, just try to encourage an open mind. Don't try to put, you know, barriers around thinking. Mm-hmm. We have to think outside the box in order to truly, you know, invest in the right things and be successful, because the world's constantly changing. Yeah, agreed. My word would just be release. For parents out there, release your children to the world. They will never grow and become the total package that they'd like to, and in terms of like coming into fruition, if you do not allow them to overcome the obstacles, that will come throughout their way. Like, it's like a lion, right? A lion trying to shield and guard his cubs from like the wild. Eventually, that cub is going to have to learn how to get out there into the jungle and hunt, right? Exactly. It's going to have to become a lion in its own man, in its own right. Let him go. So you got to let him go. So release. That's pretty much it, man. Any other last words to part upon the folks out of the Wise community before we leave? Or I think we hit the nail on the head, man. I agree. So as we said before, this podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Stitcher Radio, Anchor, YouTube. Man, I'm on a roll. Yeah, wherever podcasts are found. Absolutely. Yep, pretty much. For sure. So, yeah, man. So next week's episode 13, which is Young and Broke Part 3, features Mandy Velez. I know you won't be able to make the interview because you got some things going on, but it'll be interesting to talk to her about, being $102K in debt for student loans and how she kind of came out of that. Yeah, she's got plenty of tips and, just ideas towards, breaking that chain. For sure. So Wise Community, Wise Community, I think you guys are going to be very, very, very in for a treat with this next episode. So until next week, this is your boy, Kevin Anglade. This is Mark Pruden. And we are the Wise Guys Podcast. We'll see you next week. Stay wise.